What were we talking about earlier? We had mentioned something about like Germany. You said something about Germany.
German food.
Oh yeah. That's
not
what
that good.
Yeah, so you've been to Berlin. I didn't know you've been to Berlin. When did you go?
I went right before the pandemic as part of like that tour. I took my little brother from Colombia. We went to Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Italy.
Damn.
And Czech Republic, maybe?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Holy shit. So you went through all of like Eastern
Yeah.
Europe, basically. That's cool. So you didn't really, like out of those countries, you said Germany, Switzerland, Czech Republic, Austria, I think those are, and Italy. Which one was your favorite? Or rank them. Which one was your favorite to least favorite?
Okay.
Save the dumpy one for the end.
Well, I think my least favorite was Germany.
Really?
Because I didn't like the food. It was gloomy.
Like, what season did you go? Like during
I went for Oktoberfest because we actually got to experience Oktoberfest in one of like not Berlin, but another city.
Munich?
Not Munich.
Frankfurt?
Yes, Frankfurt. So we went there. But like Berlin actually feels like when you're there, like by the Berlin Wall, like you feel like the past.
Oh, like the heavy, like the history.
The heaviness and the history of it.
Okay, I got you.
And then it is always gloomy. The sun did not come out one time.
Really?
The 3 days we were in Germany.
That's so crazy. Because I've been to Germany, I think, twice now. The first time was in 2019, and then the second time was recently in this last like little European tour that I did. But it was very briefly. But both of the times that I've been there, it was like overcast, kind of what you're saying. So not like super sunny, not like a tropical location, but it wasn't like gloomy. It was like bright enough where you didn't feel depressed. Like it didn't feel like Seattle or some shit. But I like Germany just because I like beer, but the food was pretty.
Yeah, not good. It's like sausage.
Yeah.
Pretzels.
Bratwurst, pretzels. Yeah. But I mean,
which you could have it in New York City and
you
just
can.
as good. Yeah. So I would say that one was fifth. Austria, I had no idea what to expect. It's just like Germany. Like, the only thing I knew about Austria was Arnold. Right.
Yeah.
It is beautiful, but it was very similar culture to Germany.
Yeah.
Then I would say Czech Republic. That's beautiful. Food was better. Switzerland, however, like the mountains and
crazy.
The crazy and like the air is so crisp.
Damn.
It was like we were up high in the mountains, like breathing it. It was like
amazing.
Like you could feel it go through your lungs. But then the fact that you're there and you're in the snow and the cold, and then you travel like 1 hour to Italy, to Lake Como, and it's...
You went to Lake... You've been to Lake Como?
Yeah.
Or Como or Cuomo?
Como.
Como.
And it's like the sunniest, most beautiful place
How
on Earth.
big is that lake? Because that's like the lake that they film like a lot of like those movies where it's like crazy sceneries there.
Lots of movies have been filmed there. I don't know. Not one comes to mind, but I know a lot of like there's a lot of Hollywood actors that have like homes on that lake.
Like the waterfront.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very rich area.
It's beautiful. So, but I do love Italy, so I would rank Italy first. I've gone to Italy now on 4 different occasions.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah. So it was great. Last year, not part of this trip, I actually went to Venice for the first time.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The canals, right?
Yeah. Which some people say is like corny and, you know, it's not nice. But it's just like the fact that everything gets done through like those canals. Like the boats come in to collect the garbage and they take the garbage out in the canals. That's how they deliver the alcohol for the
So it's literally like their road system, basically.
So it's amazing though.
Wow.
And beautiful.
I did hear that like some people think it's corny, but I feel like those people are just hating on it for no fucking reason because it is like a historic city, right? It's like very old. It's like one of the trade capitals of like the world, one of the earliest trade capitals. Yeah. How was the food in why am I thinking Vienna? Venice. Yeah.
Great.
Like, would you say it was better than all the other places you've been to in Italy or?
No, I think the best food in Italy was, I actually went there with your uncle, your mom, your dad.
On that cruise?
On a cruise, and it, like the Florence area.
Oh, okay.
Which I forgot the name of that region, but like number 1 is like the best pizza ever.
Naples?
Naples, yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Okay.
So best pizza. There's this small town where it's all about like limoncello which
Like
I
the
thought,
alcohol?
yeah,
Or the cake? Well, I guess the cake is based off
right?
the cake,
But then
right?
they have, they make all the stuff.
Damn.
That was
sounds
my
good.
favorite. Yeah.
That sounds fucking good.
Yeah.
I definitely I want to go to Italy. Lake Como is actually something that Hannah was telling me that she wants to go to. And I didn't, prior to looking up pictures, I was like, what the fuck is so special about this lake? But then I saw all of those very Italian style architecture and these mansions on the waterfront and it's just this beautiful lake surrounded by very nice geographical structures, I guess is the way to put it.
So colorful. And you're about an hour from Milan. So
the fashion capital?
Yeah, fashion
okay.
capital, but it's not just that. I mean, there's a lot to do in Milan.
I heard that it's very industrial.
There's parts that are very industrial.
Right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Have you been to Rome?
Yeah.
How was the Colosseum? I heard that shit's pretty heavy. When you're there,
Yeah.
sitting in it, it feels very old. You
Yeah.
could feel that weight.
I felt like
Like a gladiator was just got stabbed or
Yeah.
mauled by a lion.
the sad part is that it's crumbling, right?
Badly?
Yeah,
you could
it's
still
less
see it
and less.
decaying?
Yeah, you could see it decaying. So one day that's not going to exist, which will be sad. But you could definitely feel it. And my favorite movie, Gladiator. So being
That's your
there
favorite
was-
movie?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. That's Mike's favorite movie too.
yeah. Gladiator
It's a good
Part 2.
Did you see it?
Yeah, I did. It wasn't as good, but for a sequel, it was pretty damn good.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So you would rank Italy number 1, I'm assuming, right? Or Switzerland, out of those 4 or 5 countries.
Italy would be one.
Okay.
But that's not my favorite part of Europe that I've been to. I think my favorite is,
I think. Okay, what is it?
What is it?
I think you've told me, right? Is it London?
well, London, not so much like Great Britain, but London
London
itself.
specifically?
I love. No, but I would rank Spain as my favorite
Oh,
country.
that
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. The food there, I mean, that's some
Yeah.
really good fucking food. I really want to try a legitimate traditional paella with some sangria or something.
I literally, what's his name? He committed suicide.
Anthony Bourdain?
Anthony Bourdain. So he had done the episodes in Spain, and we went to we literally followed him. We went to
All of his tour stops?
3 or 4 of the stops that he went to.
Oh.
There's literally places where they'll give you, if you order a drink, they'll just give you tapas for free. And that was
How
when
big are they, though?
they're pretty
very
small, but
right?
they'll just bring you you're just getting free food, but delicious.
I have heard that, who was telling me this? There was a person that I knew through work or something, but he is an American, but he's an expat, he lives in Spain. And he said that the culture is so shocking in the way that the portions are much smaller and their dinner time is way later than the US.
Yeah.
People are eating dinner at 10 p.m. over there or something.
But you're also eating 6 times a day. So
Oh,
they're
really?
small. So you're eating multiple times.
So you're eating a
it's
lot.
never here we sit, we're an obese country.
Yeah, gluttons for
right?
sure.
Gluttens,
Yeah.
right? And so we're always fill the plate to the max.
Yeah.
Over there, you'll eat a little bit at 1, but then at 3, you'll be hungry again. You'll eat again. 5, 7. And then, yes.
Damn, every 2 hours. Okay.
Yeah.
I kind of fuck with that for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
if it's really good food too, I don't
Yeah.
really care as long as it tastes nice, right?
Yeah. And then Portugal is also great.
Where did you go? Lisbon, right?
I went to the Azores beaches, Lisbon, and actually there's a city to the north. It's called Porto, which is where Porto wine is from.
That's that really high alcohol wine, right?
It's
Is it more high
the
proof?
sweet, kind of considered like a dessert wine.
Oh, I know which one you're
Sweet.
talking about. Yeah.
That I actually enjoyed that city better than
Lisbon?
all the other ones. Yeah,
What for any particular reason or?
yeah, because it was it's completely divided, the modern and the old. But then the modern had the best scene for partying you could ever see. It was literally 10 blocks where every single thing was a club or a bar.
So you
or
turned up, right?
Yeah,
I'm assuming?
and you could just go to 12 different spots in just one block.
That's
you
pretty
know?
fucking cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I did hear that Portugal is considered one of the more party capitals
Yeah.
of Europe.
And the
for
other
sure.
thing is food is great, and it's a lot cheaper than any other part of Europe that I've been to.
Really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't think that for some
It
reason.
is.
I feel
Yeah.
like Portugal and Spain, they've been around for so long. I mean, wasn't Portugal one of the first countries to try to colonize
Yeah.
mass expansion? So I
Yeah.
feel like an old country like that would be expensive as shit.
For whatever
not.
reason, they're not. Yeah.
Maybe their GDP is ass, and then I don't know. Maybe for some reason
They're not collecting enough from Brazil.
Yeah, maybe that. Yeah, maybe that.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's really cool. I definitely want to go to Portugal. But it's funny that you mentioned the division between like old and then like modern city. Luxembourg is like that too. So like in this last trip that we went to back in this last fall, like when I went to with Hannah and Oscar, shout out to those two, by the way. We went to Luxembourg because, okay, this is a little bit of a long story. So basically Oscar's French teacher, like from middle school, had for some reason spoken very highly about Luxembourg, and that stuck with him. I don't know why. Like shit just sticks with you when you're a certain age, right? And he was like, yo, we got to go to Luxembourg when we were planning all this out. I'm like, what the fuck's in Luxembourg? Isn't it like this big? It's like the size of like a freaking booger on the map. Like it's so small. But you hear it's like the richest country per capita or something like that. Highest GDP per capita in Europe or in the world.
I think is Monaco.
Oh, that makes sense. Is that that's a country?
It's a country, but it's tiny.
Also a city, right?
Well, that's the Vatican. But Monaco is actually a country.
Typical American.
But it's very tiny. And I think what they told us when we went there is like the poorest person there, like the minimum you have to have in the bank to be allowed in this country.
This is about to be fun.
It's like $400,000 like of like savings.
Their national currency?
Yeah.
Whole or equivalent to $400,000.
Equivalent to $400,000 is like the minimum a person can have
in their savings account, not even in total assets or whatever. It's like in their savings account. That's fucking crazy.
And I don't know. It's been a while. Like, how do you prove that? All that, but that's what they said. Like,
wow,
you got to have at least that.
Maybe that's why F1 always goes there, and like they got the fucking yachts, like watching the race, right, from like the bay. Yeah, that makes sense that would be like one of the richest countries. But Luxembourg, when we were there, it's very interesting because, you know, like their public transportation is all free. So we actually flew in from, where do we fucking fly in from? We flew into Luxembourg from...
Scotland?
No, from England.
Okay.
Or from Stansted Airport in London. So we flew out of there and it was like an hour and like 10-minute flight. Like it was a joke of a flight. And then you see like the whole time that we're in the air, it's like literally 10 minutes of, like, no, 20 minutes of ascent. You're in the air at cruising altitude for maybe another 10, 20 minutes. Wow. And then immediately you start the descend. And as we're coming down, you see all of like, it's all land, which is weird, I guess, because, you know, we're from the East Coast. So every time we traverse somewhere, we're used to flying over oceans.
Right.
But this whole time we're coming down and I'm not seeing any city around me. It's just green. And I'm like, what the fuck? We land and then it was in the direction where we were flying towards was like where like the city was built out. So that's why like when I was looking back from where we were flying over, there was nothing. We land, we get out, public transportation is all free and it's very easy to navigate. So we get on the bus and we're driving through and it's like, it was very suburban. Then all of a sudden you hit like the city center, like Luxembourg City. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know this at the time, but it turns out that the modern day city is built on like the top of these cliffs. And one of the free public transportation services that they offer there is this really famous like elevator, but it's all glass. And it's like,
wow,
it's like 12 stories tall, like this whole ride. So you go into it and then you press the button to go all the way down and it brings you into the old city. And that's all cobblestone streets, like old structures and stuff like that. And I didn't even know any of this until dude, this was some shit out of a movie. There was a guy that was walking. I can't remember his name. He was a really sweet dude. And I think he was Moroccan. He wasn't like he wasn't white, but I guess he was like a Luxembourgish native. Like he'd been born there, like moved there very young or whatever. And we were walking, me and Oscar, because Hannah was at the Airbnb sleeping. And we're like, oh my God, this is a really cool structure. Let's take a picture. And we're looking around and then this guy happens to be walking. So we ask him, hey, can you take a picture for us? He takes the picture. We're like, all right, cool. We think that's the end of it. Then I'm looking on my map to try to navigate us towards like where we were going, like out of the old city. And then the guy turns around. He's like, oh, like he was a stranger. He didn't have to do this, but it was super nice of him. He's like, hey, in broken English, he's like, do you guys like want to see something? And I'm like, what the fuck is this guy about?
Yeah.
And then he's like, look I know these pigeons, which that's literally all he said. He was like, do you want to see something? I know these pigeons. And on basically where he said it was there was like a little channel of water and it's an old, very narrow. It's probably 4 feet wide cobblestone bridge. And there's pigeons just all on this fucking bridge, like in the surrounding area. And he goes like, you guys want to see something? And I'm like, what? And he's like, I know these pigeons. And I'm like, okay. And then the guy goes like, no, like seriously. And then I'm like, okay. I whip my camera out and then he goes, and he like points, and no joke, this is some shit out of a movie. All the pigeons then start circling, and then where he points, they flock there. Wow. Then he's going like this down the cobblestone bridge. All of them start like following him, and then he points. He's like that's my house over there. Like on the other side of the water, there was like a little like a very old cobblestone structure, whatever the fuck, or like, you know, just a house that was there on the other side of the bridge, and then he points to it, right? And the pigeons literally all get up and they start flying like in like
over
a flock,
the house,
and they land on the house. And I'm like, how did you do that? And it turns out that this dude for years has been cultivating this like relationship with them, and he feeds them. And he was like, and he gets to the door. This is the funny part. He gets to the door and he's like, fuck, I forgot my keys. And then he's like, the birds are going to be angry with me. And all of them were like, they started like chirping. And I was like, all right, I'm going to get out of here before this fucking pigeon shits on me. So then we left. But it was a very magical moment in the old city of Luxembourg. So I thought that was super cool.
There's a white pigeon with him.
So he
literally following him.
That's awesome.
Wait.
He literally just explained that these pigeons know him and are accustomed to the time that he gets here, and they follow him all the way. Wait, hold on. I gotta take a video. What happened?
Oh my gosh. They know exactly where to go. Oh!
No way.
It's like a coordinated routine.
Look, he's pointing down to the railing.
Oh, he controls them. He can control the pigeons. He can control the pigeons, bro.
Yo.
He can control the pigeons. That's so cool.
He wasn't doing this for money.
No, it was just a random guy. And then we asked him, like, why do you feed these pigeons? He's like, I like birds. My mom likes birds. I'm like, that's the most European answer. Like, very connected with nature. Just seems very like old. Like, I don't know. It was very cool. It was like a little magical moment.
Cool. I don't like birds.
You don't like birds?
But I'm sure that would be.
You don't like birds? Nice. Any birds?
Not really. No.
Pigeons are kind of rats with wings, especially in New York. So they're kind of
no, unless it's like some
like an owl.
No,
not even owls.
Freaky. No, I think maybe parrots.
Parrots are cool. Toucans are cool too, like the tropical birds. Yeah. I thought you hated raccoons. That was your least favorite animal.
Well, they're just freaky because they'll look at you. You try to scare them, and then they just go on, and they're like, I don't give a shit who you are. They just continue to go through your trash.
They're definitely scary in the city too. Like those motherfuckers are rabid in the city. Of course. They don't give a fuck. And they're used to just eating shit like out of people's garbage cans, not like out in nature where they eat like bugs and stuff.
Yeah, and I've come in contact with them sometimes during the day. So I'm like, they freak me out because I'm like, if they like attack me, I'm going to have rabies. So.
Dude, there was a time that Stoney actually kind of looks like a raccoon. Like he's fat and like very bottom heavy. So, and he's gray. And there was a time that Kata actually has this on video. There was a big ass raccoon that came up to our door, and Stoney and him just had like a standoff. Oh, wow. And I was like, oh shit. And then he ran off, and it was just like a cute little thing. Oh my God. So we're talking about wait, so you didn't like the food in Germany, but London is one of your favorite cities, which is, I feel like that's interesting that you say that, because one of the things that a lot of people shit on like the UK for is like their food. Yeah.
Well, 2 reasons. London's one of my favorites. Well, 3 reasons. It's like a cleaner New York. I love New York. Yeah, so it's like a cleaner New York City. It's historical. I love the history, like the architecture there. Mm-hmm. I follow like the whole monarchy thing just for like historical value, as I love history, right? So I love that. The food is great, but it's international food. There isn't really like English cuisine. Like there's like fish and chips, right? And it's better. I'm sure we've had better here in the US somewhere, right? So so there isn't cuisine, but there's an amazing international cuisine there.
I will say that the best Indian food I've ever had in my life was in London. Yeah. And like the best burger, which oddly enough, I feel like that wouldn't be the case, but
yeah, like, so I remember I had dim sum there. It was amazing.
Chinese food was good there too? I never had Chinese food there.
I had ramen there, which was amazing. So a lot of international food, and it's worth it.
I like London a lot. I do. Yeah. It's really cool. But I guess like this last time that I went to the UK, the food wise, and like we had went an hour outside of London, or no, not an hour. Sorry, 3 hours out of London to like the countryside of England, and it was I think it's actually the Midlands of England. Okay. And it was this area called the Cotswolds. the food was so bad.
Yeah.
Like bangers and mash. And have you seen that meme where it's like British people be like, yo, do you like the sandwich I made you? And they're like, it's good, but it's nothing compared to my mother's pickle spuckle with pickle bam. Have you seen that? Like shit like that?
No.
That's all their fucking things are like. Yorkshire pudding is not even pudding. It's like a little piece of bread.
Yeah.
Very confusing. I'm shitting on British people.
Most
or
of it
cuisine
is
a lot,
like,
but
so like another place that I love is Ireland.
that I heard their food is actually better than.
It's better. It's better, but it's also not like compared
Amazing.
to like, Portugal, Spain, Italy, like those places.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You did have Guinness, right? Or you toured the Guinness factory. How was that?
So cool. Like I had this like false, like in my imagination, I thought that the darker the beer, it was like going to be really strong and like, taste really dark, but it's so fresh there that it actually tastes like you're like drinking caramel. Like the beer tastes like that. Yeah, it's so
it's actually like no exaggeration. You don't exaggerate when it comes to food like I do. I have a bad habit of that, but actually
it's
noticeable.
The best Guinness I've ever had in my entire life.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But it's probably the best beer I've ever had in my entire
Really?
life. Yeah.
Just in general beer?
No, Guinness.
Oh, okay.
And at the Guinness factory.
Yeah. But you're telling me that there's like if you were to be blindfolded and someone gave you like a Guinness from the States and then a Guinness from that factory, you could tell the difference?
Yes.
Oh shit.
There's
like
something like the way it's like the air that gets put in it. Like
it's
you
more
could taste the
frothy
Yeah, you could taste like the refreshing part of it in it. Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't think that would be the case. That's weird. I didn't know. You see, it's like funny because something with like I guess it's not simple, but a beer is just like a beer. I didn't know that even within the same brand of beer, there's like levels. So what else did you do in Dublin? That's where the Guinness factory is, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I went on a whiskey tour that actually your friend Miguel recommended a couple of whiskeys to ask for. They were a little bit on like the high end, but they still.
He's a fancy man.
Yeah, but they actually accommodated us for the same price. So
shit!
Yeah,
okay.
we tried it, so that was great.
Do you remember the whiskeys by any chance? Was one of them like Lafroig or Lapro?
That sounds very familiar, but I you know how I am with my memory.
Yeah,
I do not remember
the specifics. I mean, it was a long time ago.
I have it written
too.
down somewhere, but yeah.
And it was good?
It was great. Yeah, amazing.
Damn.
Yeah.
You made me want. I do remember when you came back from that trip and you showed me pictures and stuff. I do want to go to Ireland.
And
Mike's
the
also
Irish
been
and
there,
the
so it's
people in Ireland are like just so like chill.
They're friendly. I feel like they're funny as fuck. I'm not gonna lie.
they're like leprechauns.
Irish people, they have like they have banter too.
Yeah.
They're very like jokey people. Like they don't take shit seriously. Like they're very like they like to fuck with each other and stuff like that. I love
You could
that.
tell they're having fun there.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be around like a bunch of stiffs. That was one.
Yeah.
That was one thing. Like there were some people sometimes like where, because you know how I am. I'm like loud and stuff, and then I'm looking over and there's like a very proper English couple like eating their food, and I'm like, ooh, I'm being like the loud, obnoxious fucking American. They're like, who the fuck is that cunt? Like they're like they're just gonna be pissed at me.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Oh my goodness. So what bucket list area in Europe, or actually let's just broaden it up. I know we were talking about like future maybe travel plans for 2025 earlier.
Yeah.
Where would you like to go if you could go for your next big trip internationally?
So 2 places are on my very short list, which are Greece and Japan. I've never been to Greece, so I made it as close to as like the Czech Republic, obviously Italy, but never been to Greece. So again, love everything about Greece that I hear about because of the history. I love that, but also want to enjoy the beaches and the food and all that stuff, right? So, and then Japan. Like, you've told me about Japan. Others have told me about Japan, but I'm going to tell you, like, Trevor Noah, my second favorite podcaster after you,
That was so
he
sweet.
was talking about eating sushi in Japan and how it just melts in your mouth. It's like completely different to what we know. And I'm like, I just have to go. I have to go. And I want to go soon because after that, I want to start exploring Africa.
Okay, you know how you said before the thing about how Mac is in Laos right now? And he said that Mac told you that it's a fucking 24-hour or something ordeal to
You
get
get
there.
there 24 hours later. Or it's 20. You get there like 36 hours later, but it's 24 hours of travel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're talking about the time zone on top of that, right?
But it's
okay.
literally 24 hours of like traveling
Traveling.
and connections and all that shit.
Yeah, so Japan was total for me was 18 or 19 hours, which was like crazy, but it was so worth it. The thing I will say, I was considering going, like me and Andy, we were talking about this, like just fucking around, like last year, like a year ago, basically, when we were thinking about going like on a trip somewhere before Sandra got pregnant. And the idea of like Tanzania was thrown out there, and we're like, yo, that seems really cool, like the safari. And Tanzania? I said Tanzania?
No, it's Tanzania, but
Oh, okay.
someone we know says Tanzania.
Is it that?
He's about to be president.
Okay, yeah, so it is. It's Trump. Tanzania?
Yeah.
Oh, was that on
Yeah.
Trump's best words? Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Damn. No, so Tanzania it's 36 hours of travel because there's no direct flight. And then like actually Gata, she would know better because you know she's going to Sierra Leone for
Wow, no, I did not.
You didn't know
that.
this?
No, when? This year?
upcoming. I want to say spring of this year. So
For
it's
her
like
medical?
So for PA school, they do like I was gonna say mission trip. That's not the right term, but it's like basically like her and then a bunch of PA students are going under the supervision of some medical professionals, and then they go over there to like deliver vaccines to like the local impoverished
Amazing.
communities.
That's great.
It's awesome, but I'm kind of scared because even she said that the guide who he's been doing this for a really long time, like when he told the students about it, he was like, guys, you got to prepare yourself a little bit mentally because you're going to see some stuff that like you're not really used to seeing. Because this is not like, they're not going to like,
A safari. They're going to like
the
impoverished areas.
Yeah. And like there's going to be injuries that people have had that haven't been able to be addressed like by a professional, like medical professionals. So it's just untreated and it's been like festering. So it's like the levels of injuries, even something as simple as like a bad cut, they just get way worse because there's not like any hospitals out in these like little villages out there. So that's what she's gonna go do.
She has thick skin, so I think it's gonna be great for her. But think about, it's still probably gonna be the most satisfying trip.
Oh
ever.
yeah, I think so. She has to get like a bunch of vaccines before. She has to get like the yellow fever vaccine or something before she goes out there. So that's a little bit scary, but that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
So you want to go all over Africa?
Not all over. I don't think every country.
Not every,
but,
yeah.
but a lot of them do. Like
Would you-
Morocco.
Yeah, I want to go to
Egypt,
Morocco.
Madagascar.
That seems cool too. So you
Yeah.
could see your doppelganger, King
Yeah,
Julian.
King Julian of Madagascar, yes.
The lemur.
Yeah,
And then would you want to go to like South Africa?
I would.
I heard
Yeah.
the natures there is cool,
Yeah.
but then I heard some like what's their major city?
Johannesburg.
Is it that one? There's one city that has really bad crime there, but it's like a Cape Town.
Yeah,
Is that
Cape
South
Town.
Africa?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it's that one that has like some pretty bad crime, but it's rated very like good for like surfing. Oddly enough, I think, and I think this might be bullshit. We don't have anyone to fact check me here because my phone's over there, but I think they actually have a lot of like crime, and then for whatever reason, like the waters off that beach are very shark infested.
Oh wow. Yeah.
But that being said, I still would like to go to South Africa too. South Africa's interesting.
Yeah.
So you want to go to Greece and Japan. And actually, on the note of what you said before, I'm like yapping right now. So if you want to tell any stories or do anything, please cut me off. There's no formal structure to this. But you know how Trevor Noah said that the sushi melts in your mouth?
Yep.
I would go as far as to say, and I'm not even trying to exaggerate right now, my relationship to sushi itself has changed after I visited back in 2020, where prior 2020, I would love going out to eat sushi and eating like these fucking boats, you know, like
Right.
here they put the
Yeah.
boats with like all the rolls and the sauce and all this shit. And you just like, you're a glutton. You're like, "Wah, wah," and you're like, fucking, the roll is like right here.
Why we're obese and the Japanese are not?
Basically,
right?
yeah. But over there, they
Yeah.
do it just like nigiri, like the traditional, right? It's much more traditional, not as flashy, but the quality is insane. And then after I got back and I had the stuff here for the first time, I was like, yeah, not it. And I literally physically can't eat it as much. I start to feel like a little bit like unsettled in my gut. It's very weird. I don't know why.
How did your father react the first time that he took you to, you know, how he exaggerates every place is the best, the sushi, you got to try this, you got to try that. Did you ever like just say this is shit compared to
After-
what I'm used to?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. After that trip, like we've gone to a couple sushi restaurants where like he's like, "This is really good," and I'll be like, "Yeah, it's good." But like it really does ruin your fucking expectations because then you come back and then you're just expecting. It's just so good that then afterwards you're like, well, fuck. Now to have that, I either have to go to like a super expensive restaurant here that's like from, like they import their fish from Japan, or I have to fucking go back to Japan. So that's really all you're left with at the end of the day.
Yeah. But you said something before, like tagging Korea too.
I would love to
Japan,
do that.
I would
yeah.
love to do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, have you ever gone out and had like a, how do I put this? Like a Korean style night out? Like kind of like, have you ever been to like a pocha? I think that's how you pronounce it.
No.
So it's like, this is what scarred me. This is what we did last Saturday. You just end up drinking copious amounts of alcohol because you can't, something about soju or somek. So you know what soju is, obviously.
Yep.
And then you know like beer, obviously. Somek is when you mix the two together in like a certain ratio. There's like, depending on the person, they do it differently, whatever. But you drink, like the way I was taught or the way I've been drinking is like in shot fashion, but of like beer mixed with that. And because it's so light, you're like, oh, I'm just,
Yeah, you
I'm
just go and
fine.
go,
And
yeah.
you just keep going. I fucking blacked out, but it was, that style of drinking is probably my favorite because you get it. And then at these pochas, they'll be like, all right, cool. Like we're drinking. Well, I'm a little bit hungry. Let's order a fucking, and they bring out like a little stove burner,
Yeah.
and then they put a big ass pot of just like ramen noodles and like stew. And then you could get like little Korean fried chicken bites on the side or like a bunch of dishes. And it's just greasy, but like very good food.
Okay.
I would love to do that if we could go to Korea.
Okay. Was that what you did last week?
Saturday. Yeah, this past weekend. Yeah, that's
Okay.
what I did then.
Where was that?
It's probably honestly like it's probably like the capital of Korea outside of Korea. It's Palisades Park down in Jersey.
Okay.
So you know Fort Lee, right?
Yeah.
It's like the neighborhood like just south, I think, of Fort Lee, and it's super Korean. And like actually I was talking to Paul and not only Paul, my friend Claire, she's also Korean. They all, and then other Korean people that I've talked to too, the general consensus is like even in New York City, like K-Town, that shit's mad overpriced because it's like, ooh, it's K-Town. But legitimately the best food, Korean food, in this, like the tri-state is in Palisades Park. It's in New Jersey.
Okay.
But like right outside New York.
Okay.
It's very good.
I saw you guys at karaoke, but I didn't tie it to like a Korean night.
No, we had like a
Yeah.
full-blown Korean
Okay.
night. Because we went to the
Cool.
bar, the pocha beforehand. That's just that's how, it's like a Korean bar. That's what a pocha is. So we went there beforehand for like 2 hours. Got fucking obliterated. Well, I did. I'll speak for myself. And then we went to the karaoke and then we got more. I don't know why we got more drinks, but we got more drinks. And then that's why I did not do well. So, but I definitely do want to do that. I think traveling with you has got to be one of my. How many trips have we done together?
Let's see. We did Austin
And Boston,
and Boston.
because when you saw your Celtics win,
Game 2 of the finals, we were there.
Yeah.
Celtics won, and they ended up winning, which was awesome. Where else have we gone? Florida.
yeah, Colombia too. I think we've
Colombia.
been, yeah. But I was when I was
Dominican Republic.
young. Yeah, that too. I want to go international with you though.
Like a cultural place.
Yeah. I feel like that'd be super cool.
Yeah.
Because like I feel like you have a very deep like appreciation for like experiencing like new cultures and like new people.
That's what I love, right? So,
Yeah.
so I do want to like get to know the most of the cultures, everything. The only thing I don't like is like having an itinerary, like we're waking up at 6 a.m. and we're gonna do this
So,
and then do this.
what
and then do
Andres
that. Yes, right. So, like we have to have a plan, but it doesn't have to be like so like spelled
set?
out 1 through 30 every
Yeah.
day. But yeah, that's my favorite thing to do. See how the people live, see what they eat, like what makes them who they are, right? And I get mesmerized. Like I'm not very religious. Most people know that, but like I'll go into all these churches in Europe because they're just so beautiful, and I'm like, how many people died building this?
Yeah.
Right?
Oh shit! I didn't even think about that.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, like it's incredible. So like I love all that, like the structures, the everything.
The history of it.
The
all.
history of it all, yeah.
That's really cool. That's a good
Yeah.
point. There was a lot of churches. Yeah, there's a lot of churches everywhere in Europe. Now that I think about it, like old, like 1400s, built in like fucking hundreds of years ago. And you're right. I'm also not. I like would classify myself as like a more agnostic person. I don't really subscribe
Yeah.
to any one like religion, but something about going to those churches is like it's kind of a spiritual experience because like
Yeah.
you know how they all have that fucking smell, like what frankincense, is that what it is?
Yeah.
That mixed with like you look up and like all these churches will usually have like the craziest artwork just displayed up
Yeah.
in like the rafters or like the ceilings, and you do kind of feel like this like presence, like this like weight. I don't know how to explain it.
No, I know what you're
Yeah.
saying. Yeah.
And
So-
you've been to the Vatican, right?
Yeah.
How was that?
I vowed never to go again, and I've actually been there twice. Again,
Since?
yeah. From a historical perspective,
Mm-hmm.
I am mesmerized by like the fact that like from there like they can control 1.2 billion people, right, and dictate what they do, and they've been able to do that for like 2,000 years, right? So that's like amazing to me.
And you're saying, sorry, I'm not, because you're
Yeah.
saying that because that's the Catholic Church, right? That's like
Yeah, that's the
headquarters for,
Catholic
like,
Church.
the-
Yeah,
okay,
that's
okay,
where.
got you.
Yeah. So, but it is a little disturbing to see like the riches there, like the gold statues and like just so much stuff there that, you know, if you go back, that's like all the stuff that was taken from like Latin America when all the explorers
Oh,
went. You
I
know,
didn't
that's how
know
they
that.
paid for all that. All these churches all across Europe.
I didn't
You
know that.
All got paid from just, you know, exploring in other countries, and
Like the
that's
Crusaders
why,
or some
yeah,
shit?
and that's why they're forever poor, and Europe, you know,
So
is
all
better
of-
off.
So in the Vatican specifically, there's a lot of like, I guess like artifacts,
yeah.
and they're all like from like around the
There's
world.
artifacts
basically?
from around the world, but see, like the explorers, the conquistadors, they went in and like to, let's say South America, and they stole all their gold, took all, like they
Yeah.
just conquered them and took it all and sent it all back to Europe. That's how they build all their structures with the money they took with the
from that
from
like,
that
the
area, and
indigenous
now, you know,
cultures.
yeah.
Damn.
And now Bolivia will be forever poor because they took all their riches.
They got fucked.
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah,
I didn't
exactly.
even know that. I didn't
Yeah.
realize. I knew that the Vatican had like a big library or something like that.
Yeah.
But I didn't know
But it's
that
not
they had
just the
artifacts.
Vatican. It's all the churches across. Like you go to Spain, there's always like massive churches. Portugal, all these places that like went into America.
You know, that's a really interesting point that you say that, because in one of these churches, I can't remember what, they all have, I mean, for me, they all have very difficult names to remember. It was like the Church of the Roman Blood of Jesus, like something like that,
El
right?
Santo Manto de
Yeah,
Jesus.
yeah, like stuff
Yeah.
like that. And in this one church, it was like, dude, it was actually kind of crazy. They claim to have a piece of the cloth that had, that was like Jesus's blood was like splattered on it. And it's like one of like the 6, or I can't remember how many total are, but it's a limited amount. And there's like, they're called like blood artifacts. Mm-hmm. And one of them is housed in that church in, Bruges, Belgium. That's
Okay.
where it was. And in the freaking, there's like a picture of it. And the thing is like, I get what you're saying. Like, it's a little bit disturbing. It was just in this glass canister, but the whole thing was coated in like mad gold. Like, it looks
Yeah.
like some shit out of like a rap video. Like,
Yeah.
just gold. Like, this thing is this big, all gold. And you have to think
Yeah.
like, that thing is mad old because it has a cloth from like,
Yeah.
whatever, 2,000 years ago. Where the fuck did you get the gold to do that?
Yeah.
And like smelt it down and then create the thing?
All taken from the Americas.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I did not know that. Did you know that apparently the amount of gold, all of the gold, if you were to take all the gold that's on Earth, it only covers about like a couple football fields, or like a football field. Like, like that's how much there is. It's very
Wow.
limited. And now that you're telling me this, that fact seems even more fucked, because then the majority of it is probably over there in like Europe in the churches.
Yeah.
Damn, that makes you think. Jesus Christ. Literally.
Yeah. And so the reason I said I would never go back is because there's just, at the Vatican, there's just more of that. Like, obviously, there's all these gold statues and so much where I'm like, damn, rip one of these statues apart and like
Send it back to
feed some people in Africa. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
Damn, that's just crazy. So the Vatican was somewhere that you would never go back. or you like it just makes you a little bit uncomfortable. But
I don't plan on going back. Then there's another thing where like, and I think this is the year. So every 25 years, the Catholic Church in the Vatican, like if you pay, I think it's like $30,000, $40,000, they'll every 25 years. So, and this is 2025, right? So this is a year. It has a name. I don't know the name, but they'll expunge all your sins.
They'll sponge your sins?
They'll say, okay, you've been forgiven for all your sins that you've committed. Like you
Who
start
does
afresh.
that?
I don't know how it happens, but that's something that happens there. And
But
they
is it
take
like
all
the
this
Pope
money.
themselves or
It's
something?
Not the Pope himself, but it's people in Rome.
And it's specifically...
People in Vatican.
and
Yeah,
it's
you have to go to the
25
Vatican
years.
and you have to do it, yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Do you get like bathed or something?
No, I just think someone just...
They just like
say-
atone you for your sins
yeah,
or something?
Yeah.
And they're paying $30,000?
30 or 40,000, right? And then you're forgiven for all your sins. For the last 25 years.
That seems a little...
Well, and people do it. Think about that.
That seems a little strange to me. Because
Yeah.
like what's the isn't that what confessional is for? Like confessions are for? Like if you go to like the what the fuck is that called? Like the booth and you sit there and then there's like the priest on the other side, you can atone for your sins if you admit them, and then they give you like I'll say 4 whole,
Yeah, but I think this is like
the extra
these
VIP
are like
package.
I stabbed someone.
Oh my God. Okay,
like the
okay,
big
got you,
sins,
got you.
not those.
Yeah.
You do that in the thing, and
You broke one of the 10 commandments.
yeah,
And then-
hopefully the priest calls the police.
Oh, if that
someone
happens,
said- yeah.
someone admitted to murder.
Yeah.
Get this
Yeah.
man right now.
Yeah.
So basically, it's like the premium subscription for
Yeah.
for religion, kind of. If you think about it in that way, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't even know. Where'd you learn about that? At the Vatican?
At the Vatican, and they said the next time, like, so it's only in certain years,
Mm-hmm.
and it's every 25 years, and 2025 was going to be the next year. So
Damn.
if you need to go,
If I need to go, let me just rack up 30 fucking
$30,000,
K.
$40,000 if you.
Let me just go and take out a loan
Yeah.
with like a fucking limited
Yeah.
interest rate, and then go fly over to fucking.
I'm gonna have
Rome.
to like do the research here, so I could give you all the facts. But what I'm saying is very close to the what they told me. So,
yeah. I mean, we're not like right now. It's
Yeah.
we don't have like a computer in front of us or anything. So ballpark is fine.
yeah.
Don't quote you, kind of. Yeah, but
Don't
I get
quote
the
me,
I
but-
get the sense of
but
what you're
you
saying.
get the gist.
Yeah, for sure. And that doesn't surprise me. It makes sense that something would be offered like that. Like that, it kind of does make sense, right? Like, what's the at the end of service, don't they pass around like a basket for you to like donate? And
Yeah.
isn't that like, I want to try to be sensitive here, but isn't it? It's like the reason that they do that is so that you're viewed more favorably, or like it's just like being charitable or something. So the angle they take to it is kind of like for religious purposes, but it's kind of just like you're giving me money.
I guess, or yeah, like almost like how could you not give them money? You're supposed to. But at the end of services, I haven't gone in a very long time. But that's when you actually like stand up and they give you that little
The cracker.
the cracker.
What is that called? Like the
and
wafer thing.
The wafer thing, right? That's when you're supposed to be like. You repent for the sins you just committed or something, and then you're like forgiven.
I think in practice, it's a really like I feel like it has to come from a wholesome place, but then you got like the fucking Joel Osteens of the world that just take advantage
my
of that
God,
shit,
I know.
and then they just get people to like pay, like give them mad money, and then they're over here flying around in fucking private jets, and it's like, aren't you supposed to be for the people? Where'd you get the $19 million to
Yeah.
afford that jet?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here?
And again, I am forgetting the name, but there's a show on HBO, and one of the main characters is the father from Roseanne. But it's about like this mega church and how it's a comedy, but it's also dark. Just how corrupt
The church was?
Yeah, like
and was
they
this in
are.
America?
Yeah,
Probably.
No,
Yeah.
this is not a documentary. It's like an actual show, but it's like a drama comedy, dramedy. But
That
I have to believe that this is the way it goes.
I mean, yeah.
And like those people are like sinners, and they like curse, and they like commit all the stuff, but then they're telling the people, and the people are giving them massive amount of money. So.
People shit on cults all the time, but I feel like I feel like most men, if they were given like the opportunity, like, hey, if we could snap our fingers, somebody goes up to you, is like, hey, do you want to be like the leader of a cult? I feel like a lot of people would say yes, because it's the sexual aspect to cults is something that I feel like a lot of dudes would be like, yo, yeah. Like, I'll be like the guy that everybody like, it's weird like that. Like, I feel like a lot of actual cults take that weird turn. So I don't know.
But they also mostly end up burned somewhere.
Like the people?
Yeah, like in a fire. They burned themselves to death. or
Jesus.
something, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
a martyr thing, like they
Yeah,
sacrificed
yeah.
themselves or something.
So-
Damn, that's dark. What was it? Can you explain to me like the Manson thing?
Charles Manson?
Yeah. Because isn't that like a cult? I always hear, like, I've never done the actual taking the time to like Google the whole story. But I know that this
No.
was like a famous thing in like the 70s.
Yeah, like I know what he did, like with the actresses and like.
Yeah, like what was that? What did he do?
Well, he was just trying to. He was nothing really out of the ordinary, like attract them and then try to murder them, right? But I don't. I know that he has like a lot of following. After
Now?
that.
Or then?
He did.
Oh,
Right?
okay,
But
okay,
I don't
thank
know.
God.
I don't know like
The specifics?
the specifics. Yeah.
Okay, got you.
But I
Gotcha.
know like cults like Waco. You've heard of Waco, Texas?
Texas, right? Yeah.
David Koresh and like people. He convinced people like if we burn ourselves, like we go to this comet that takes us to like another world, and they did it. You know,
Like
they
burn
set,
themselves like actually on fire
yeah,
to
they
like
set
death?
they set themselves on fire. Bill Clinton sent in everyone to try to not let them burn, but they burned.
So this was in
The 90s.
like pretty fucking recently, like 20 years ago.
90s, yeah.
25, 30 years ago.
Mhm.
Damn. Cults are scary.
Yeah.
Cults are very scary. Yeah, that shit's very creepy to me. Like,
Not a lot of good-looking people in the cults too that I've seen. So
usually the best looking one's the cult leader.
yeah, but
And then they get to,
not the wives or whatever.
yeah. And then they get to,
Yeah.
have sex with all those less than like ideal attractive people,
Exactly,
I guess.
yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
all right, if that's what gets your jollies off, go ahead, fucking run a cult. Jesus, that's crazy, man. So you want to go to Japan, and then you want to go to what was it, Greece?
Greece seems easier, right? So
Yeah, what's the travel time there? I would imagine it's not that bad, like 10, 12 hours.
yeah, because it's like 9 to Italy. It's probably like 10, 11, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's not bad
Yeah.
at all. That's not bad at all.
Yeah. So I want to get those two out of the way. So then, like I said, I like to explore Africa.
Why like what part of Africa would interest you the most? I feel like you're gonna say Egypt based on the fact that you really like history.
Egypt for sure, yeah. Like that part, those structures have to have been assisted by aliens, which I'm really into.
Okay, yeah. Can you please
Yeah.
break that down? I'm interested in that. Why do you think that?
Because I guess the geometry of them, like the way whatever they were built was a chamber that directly like got sunlight like 100%, and they were able to tell like the stars from it. I have no idea.
No, I know
Every
what
detail,
you're,
right? But
yeah, like it's perfectly aligned cardinally somehow,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Like perfectly
Yeah.
aligned on like the
Yeah.
axis of the compass or something in some way. I did also hear that that the amount, it's like the way they cut the stones, the margin for error was like by today's standards would be like
Yeah.
very difficult, if not impossible to pull off.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird.
yeah, so I am very convinced
That it was aliens.
that aliens have assisted us in the past and will be back soon to help us become like part of the rest of the universe, right? So right now we're like in a bubble. We travel linearly, right?
Mhm.
It takes us 15 hours to get to Japan, right?
Yeah.
We have to take a plane. Well, we're going to get all the technology to be able to travel the way they travel.
Do you know like the physics behind? So I'm really interested in like physics and like I guess like cosmetology is like not one of them is cosmetics, but I know it sounds like I think it's cosmetology, like the cosmos.
The cosmos,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's actually possible. You know, like the thing when everyone says is like light speed, like you got to go
Yeah.
light speed, but that's
Yeah.
actually not what you want to do. Have you heard about this?
Yeah.
So like, and according to the laws of physics, because space and time, like basically if you can bend space to where you shorten the distance, basically if like this is space and time in this dimension and you're trying to get from point A to point B like this, right? Travel across this line. If it's possible through technology to somehow bend it so that point A and point B, instead of going along this path, which is time, this linear
Right.
path,
Yeah.
you bend it like this, and you cut cutout here and a cutout here, and then it's like a wormhole. It basically warps you, jumps you without going through all that time to get to the physical space where you're trying to go. So that kind of makes sense what you're saying.
Yeah.
that way.
There's a who I believe is an alien. His name is Bashar.
Who is that?
He is part of the gray aliens. The gray aliens are the aliens that we're most familiar with, the ones that have like human similar bodies but with bigger heads, bigger eyes. They communicate more through telepathy.
No genitals, like it's just smooth down there. Those motherfuckers. Yeah.
But they actually have some human DNA. They've been here and they actually like needed human DNA to like continue their journey.
So where have you heard this?
So through this like social media, but then I started to research it and like
it interests you. Yeah.
So he channels. So Bashar came in contact with a human. I think his name is like Paul Anka, like from California, like
the singer.
Not something similar to the singer. So
okay.
Paul Anka or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And so they had an encounter, and since then, like he's used the human to like channel and give us messages, right? And so there's been many messages. He claims that the technology to like travel like through dimensions has already been given to humans, but the humans have not done anything with it because of governments and like, you know, like it just has fallen into like the wrong hands and like no one's trying to do anything with it. So, but they what he has said is that there will like, which we'll see if it's all bullshit, because he says that end of 2026, beginning of 2027 will be the time that Bashar says that aliens will reveal themselves, like we are here. Like they say that will be the time to actually say we're here. We're not here to harm you. We're actually here to
help
assist,
you, like
help
oversight.
You. Yeah. And he says the greatest gift that's going to be given to the Earthlings is it's like this download of information of like the history of the entire everything, like where we come from, what we're doing, and that's all coming to us. Some people like, but he's like very specific. He's like they're gonna like park their ships on the waters where people can see them but are not threatened by them, because
like offshore,
right? So that they don't start like trying to attack them and stuff like that, right? Yeah.
So you know what's interesting? Okay, so it's funny because I'm not trying to discredit you when I say this, but it's funny because if you were to say this, right, especially on like something that it's not really public because no one watches this shit, but like on a forum where it's like, let's say you were to do like a press release 10 years ago, people would have thought you're crazy. But now with like so you believe in like, do you believe that there is truth in like the congressional hearings about like the whistleblowers that have spoken about like the extraterrestrial,
you know
like,
how many military have seen
fighter pilots and stuff, right?
Yeah, unidentified objects in the air. They're like literally like trying to figure out what they are.
It's really scary.
That is all real.
So you don't this doesn't scare you? It interests you, I could tell, but it doesn't scare you at all?
No, because they're not here to destroy us. If they wanted to destroy us, they
would have done it.
Yeah. For example, this civilization, the Greys, they say their technology is 3,000 years ahead of ours. So that is why like it's hard to like get people to even understand like what they can do, because
well, I mean, if you were to go 3,000 years back in time with a fucking iPhone, people would be going ape shit.
Exactly,
like,
right?
What the fuck is that? Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah. So, but I've always been very intrigued by aliens. When I was a child, I was actually very smart, like in elementary school. Mm-hmm. I got really bad, like in high school, but like I wanted to be an astronaut.
That was like the first thing
that was the first thing. If you ask my mother, like I wanted to be an astronaut.
So you've always been fascinated by
space and all this stuff, and I also always just believe that humans cannot be the only people on this entire universe. We are stupid. We're stupid. We're a stupid race. We kill each other over the stupidest things. Mm-hmm. We cannot be the most intelligent life form.
You know, the only thing that really fucks with me is like when I go and listen to, and you know, it's funny because what the hell do they know at the end of the day? But there's like logic, and through science, they try to think these things out. And a lot of people have said, I can't remember what it is, but there's a paradox like this. I think it's called the Fermi paradox, where it basically states like a lot of people say that there are like these super advanced civilizations out there that have existed like across the cosmos and separate galaxies, distant galaxies, right? But the thing about the Fermi paradox, basically what that's trying to say is, if they were so advanced where they are a galaxy traversing civilization, why have we seen no like signs? Like, you know, like if we were to abandon Earth like completely, all the satellites, have you ever seen like an image of like all the pollution that is in our like outer like the space right outside of our atmosphere? Like in orbit, right around the Earth's orbit. Have you seen the amount of fucking pollution that's there? So the Fermi paradox is basically saying if there were to be a space traversing, like super advanced race of alien species, they would have left something like that along some sort of plane where we could see, like maybe in a distant galaxy. But I
chucked that up to like it wasn't the right time. Again, think about like once aliens reveal themselves, it's gonna completely change a lot of people's minds, right? Like the first thing that I think will be affected is religion, right?
Yeah, that's a good ass
right.
Fucking
like think
point.
about that, and religion is like what they try to like teach everyone all the time, right? And so it's gonna change fundamentally who we are when we know we're not the only ones, when we know that there's other people that are more advanced, all that stuff. So they have, if they've been here for so long, they probably have the technology, or they on purpose not have left traces so that we don't, because it wasn't the right time. But the right time is coming, supposedly. So
that's some like scary shit to me. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm not scared. I would love to see an alien and to talk to an alien, and I would even take a ride with the spaceship. I don't care.
It would be fucking cool, but the thing is like it's just kind of mind bending, because then it's like they get here, and then what is their ultimate goal? And if they do present that it's peace, how is that assured? Like, how would we know that? What if it's, I don't know. There's just a lot of like existential questions that would come into my mind if it was confirmed. Like if like what you're saying, that a fucking giant mothership just plops itself right on the Atlantic, like eastern seaboard, and then we could see it, that would be fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And then like,
who are they going to talk to? Like, can you imagine if it's Donald Trump?
Donald Trump talking. It's like, you gray bastard, get off my lawn.
I'll destroy your ship right now. Like a dog.
You're going to die like a dog. A beautiful dog.
But yeah, I guess the rollout of their presence is going to be in a way where like they're going to like ease their way so that we know that they're not here to harm us. Because if they wanted to harm us, they could just
blow us the fuck, yeah.
Right? So true. I think that's what they're saying. But the reason is because I think it's time to have Earth become interstellar, become
an interplanetary species.
Yeah.
And join like the intergalactic coalition, basically. Yeah. Like all the shit that sci-fi movies talk about is like, it could how fucking crazy would it be? Because this kind of speaks to the intelligence of human beings, okay? Because right now, we're talking about some shit that, to a lot of people, it's like hocus pocus, like, okay, yeah, aliens, whatever. But then there's actual validity to it, because now, like, the U.S. government officials, high-sitting officials, are having congressional hearings about this subject matter, right? So it's serious.
Yeah.
If it ends up being true, where like they come down and like they do all this stuff, isn't that in a way like a testament to human imagination? Because we literally have movies, science fiction stories about like us interacting with alien species in like instead of like race, like where are you from? Oh, I'm like from this country, or I'm like this ethnicity or whatever. And then it's like it's that, but with a
Star Wars
species. Yeah, it's like Star Wars.
Yeah.
How fucking crazy is that?
Yeah, but there are people that have had encounters with aliens, right? Where they got
probed,
taken out, right? Probed or whatever. So there is a little bit of that. Have you ever thought about all the ancient civilizations that have all these carvings on the wall, and there's all these flying objects?
Like, where did that come from?
10,000 years ago, what flying objects could they have seen?
No, yeah. So that doesn't make sense.
So it was aliens assisting them. That's how they built their stuff. And then they would come back.
I can't believe...
The proof is there. Machu Picchu, one of my favorite places. I went there, and at the time the Incas were like the tallest Inca was supposedly 4 foot tall. An Inca man.
Okay.
When that city was built, that city is all the way up in a mountain, and it is like it has like the like humongous like
Stone structures.
And all that stuff. Like, how the hell did they do it?
Did a 4-foot man manage to fucking build all this like heavy material and stuff like that with no modern day construction equipment?
Exactly.
That is a valid question. So that would kind of, but then how the fuck did we go from 4 feet tall to this? Like where there's like 7 feet tall motherfuckers now? Because then some people say that aliens.
The Incas.
Oh, true. Yeah, it's not like Europeans.
Yeah.
Like Neanderthals.
This was all prior. Actually, they built that to protect themselves from the Spaniards. So they hadn't been
invaded
and colonized.
They built Machu Picchu to protect, like, to isolate themselves from like colonization.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I thought it was like an ancient civilization before like any of the, I guess, continents.
Something existed there, but then they like really like
dipped.
Yeah, they made it like a bigger thing.
Oh,
yeah, to protect them.
Okay, I got you. So it was like a settlement before, but then when colonization started happening, they like retreated to like the mountaintops, kind of. That's really cool. I want to visit Machu Picchu too. Did you eat llama while you were there, or alpaca? What's the? It's llama.
Yeah, it's llama.
Did you eat llama?
No.
Do they serve llama?
I don't remember that. I carried one. Tiny one.
You carried a tiny llama?
Yeah.
A baby llama?
Yeah.
How's the fur?
Nice.
Did it spit on you?
No.
You carried a baby llama?
Yeah, I have
How
a picture
fucking big is
somewhere,
it? Is it like a dog size?
Well, like
I thought those things get big.
Like a Labrador size.
Was a baby?
Yeah.
So that thing was like 30, 40 pounds
Yeah.
as a baby.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Because I know they get big. Like
Yeah.
they stand, like their neck is super tall. Like they're actually pretty, like threatening things, like animals.
What they eat in Peru is guinea pigs.
Did you try that?
No. No, because you know when you go like to the restaurants, they have like the picture of like guinea pig, and it's like the actual guinea pig.
It's not like the cooked guinea pig.
Yeah,
it's
not cooked. It's like the picture, like just like that, like say, you know, like.
Oh, so it is cooked in the picture.
But
it's like you could see the shape that it is a guinea pig.
Yeah, which is very disturbing. So I'm like, no.
Yeah. I would eat the fuck out of a guinea pig, no problem. Because I've seen videos where like they cook it in like a skewer and they just like look. This is gonna sound. This is very Chinese of me. I could eat almost any animal, like without remorse. You know when we went to Iceland? Because if it's already dead, like I didn't kill it, like, but whatever. Iceland's one of the only countries where you could legally eat a puffin. Do you know what a puffin is?
No.
Okay, so think of like a toucan, but the bill, like you know how they have a beautiful bill? It's shrunk to like a third of the size. So it's not long. It's like a very short bill. And they're very like tiny, small birds, but they fly. And Iceland is one of the only countries, I think one of two or maybe three, handful of countries, where you can legally eat this because it's been a food that's been eaten there for like a millennia, like since Viking times, right? So it's allowed there. And when I went there, I had remember seeing some Gordon Ramsay episode of like a show he had where like he ate it and he said, oh, it's a very unique flavor or whatever. So I was like, huh. So I kind of started seeking it out and I was asking my friends like, yo, does anyone want to try puffin, whatever? They're like, that fucking cute ass. No, I don't want to eat like that cute ass thing. And I was like, I'm fucking eating it. It was delicious. It was like a deep red meat. It came in slices and it was like smoked puffin and it was somewhere in between like beef and chicken. It was fucking good. I would eat the shit out of a puffin again, like no problem.
Would you eat whale?
I had whale in Iceland too. I'm not gonna lie. That's really controversial. Like people lose their shit over that, but I did have whale there. That was not good. It tasted like period blood.
Yeah.
Like seriously tasted like menstrual blood. Like it was so like irony. Like when I had it, I was kind of like, ugh, like the texture of it. Like it was cooked. It wasn't raw, but like it's very, very rich, metallic, like bloody irony flavor. And it was just too much for my palate. I couldn't even eat. Like I ate it because it was like, I felt bad. It's like a fucking whale. And like, I don't want to let the nutrients and like whatever go to waste. So I scarfed it down with like the accoutrement that was there. But it was not enjoyable.
Yeah.
I would not do it again. Whale.
Well, I'm glad so that people don't kill the whales for that.
Yeah. That's fucked. Yeah. Whales are kind of like a weird one for me. I did kind of feel bad doing that because they are a very like intelligent creature. Like they communicate. They're very intelligent and like you just fucking them up. Like the way you kill them too is brutal. Like ancient methods, like they would spear them, and then like they would let it just drag out until it got tired, and then it would eventually float, and then they would just like to kill it off. And it's the whaling history of whaling in like Greenland, Japan. It's people eat whales in a lot of places, a lot of corners of the world, but it's like it is dark because of how intelligent they are. But you know, it's part of the culture. You got to respect that. So I tried it for that, but I wouldn't do it again.
Yeah,
for sure. But back to the alien stuff.
Yeah.
What was his name?
Bashar is the name he gave himself to communicate through the guy named Paul something.
Oh, so Bashar is a gray.
Bashar's a gray, yeah.
I thought Bashar, I'm not going to lie, I thought Bashar was like, I pictured like a man from like Western Asia. Like,
yeah, no, that's the name the gray gave himself. And
okay.
Yeah, so.
Okay, so and he's communicating through Paul, the guy from California.
Mm-hmm.
And when did this guy say that 2026, 2027 was going to be the time? Do you remember? Was it like this year, or was it like actually like a good amount of time ago?
So I think as early as like 2016, 2015, like he started to say that, yeah.
Okay, so that has some, if it does happen, like, then he was like, it's not going to be a coincidence, because he's naming an exact year from, it's not like he's saying it now. When did this alien shit come out? This UFO stuff, like congressionally.
The sessions happened just this summer, right?
Yeah, but when did like the first like inklings of that stuff started coming out? So that was
That's been
2024.
happening for years.
But as like even as far back as 2016, or was it more like post-COVID?
Not as much. It's like post-COVID, I would say. Yeah.
So he was saying this before all this stuff, the government stuff, was like being leaked.
Yeah.
That's kind of scary.
Yeah. I'll give you another example. So President Jimmy Carter, he just died. 100 years. He looked great the day he died. But he claims to have had an alien encounter when he was young. He saw an alien.
Was this after he served as president or before?
Before, when he was young.
No. Like, when did he say this? After or before? Or during his presidency?
He said it, I guess, because he was governor. So he said it in politics before he was president. So,
okay.
But one of his commitments was if he became president, he was going to open up the UFO files.
Did he?
And he didn't. So think about that. Like, he claims to have seen an alien. He didn't keep a campaign promise because there's stuff there, right? And again, like, the danger of saying that to the civilization, like at that time in the 70s or whatever, will cause a lot of like questions out there and chaos. So
you think that Jimmy Carter had said that prior to his presidency. He gets into the White House.
And one of his promises was, I'm going to open the UFO files when I become president. And he didn't.
And you think that it's because of the fact that he saw like how crazy it was, and he was like, no, the American public can't handle this.
They're not used to it.
Damn. That kind of makes sense. Because I think, I don't know if he won this time or if it was back in 2016, but I think somebody had like pressed Trump about like the JFK assassination and like to release the JFK files. And he was on obviously we've talked about this in private before, but he was on JRE. And I think Joe had asked him something about that, and he basically said like, if you knew it, if I looked into it a little bit, and after reading it, like you wouldn't want to release it either. So that kind of is like similar vein of like, it's so dark. It's maybe not dark, but it's so like real and scary that like people are not ready to hear the actual reality of that.
Right. Yeah.
So they have to censor that type of information because like people just wouldn't be able to handle it. And that kind of makes sense to what you're saying too, from like the religious aspect, because then if Jimmy Carter was in office, he did see those files, and then it confirms all that stuff. And he said that in the 70s, that would really send like the American people into like a fucking whirlwind, because it's not as like religiously diverse as it is now back then, right? Obviously, like the 70s. So people would probably lose their shit.
We have a lot more questions now because we have social media, and we don't, like we can research stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah. Back then, people were not ready.
Yeah, I guess that is like a good thing
And we
about
have the
social-
internet.
Yeah, so like
Internet,
more
I
people
mean,
are like
Yeah.
aware of like these
Yeah.
theories and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and like information is spread and it's much more readily available. God, that's fucking scary, dude. I'm not necessarily hoping that it's not true that aliens exist, but if they do exist, it is scary. Like, I do think it's scary.
Yeah.
I like the fact that you're hopeful about it, because then it's like, that's like, obviously that's a good thing. But like, what if they just come and like, we end up just being their slaves or some shit? Like, all of us, despite social class, race, whatever, because they don't give a fuck, we're just humans. And they just put us to work for whatever that looks like. That's fucking crazy.
So just think of it this way: the fact that they can get to us, we can't get to them, makes them more advanced. So there really isn't a lot that they're like trying to get from us, but help us. They don't need our natural resources. They don't need our technology. So
Yeah, but okay, so just to steel man this a little bit, like to play devil's advocate, if you use humans as a case study, as the more, like if you take that same logic and then shrink it down to Earth, humans are like the most advanced species, right? We don't need the resources or like we don't need to understand like the social hierarchy of like animals, but we do shit like use mice for like lab experiments and like throw animals in zoos for like our fun and amusement and stuff like that. So you don't think that would be maybe something like, what happens if there's like the good grays, like like what happens if they have politics, and then like some grays are saying like, we should fucking, make them like work in our factories or whatever, but then the other ones are like, no, we need to like help heal them or whatever. You don't think that would be a thing, or you think, or is your hopes that they're all like, they're so advanced that they've surpassed like these kind of like tribal schools of thought?
yeah, that's my hope. Obviously, that's also what like Bashar says and other things that I've read. But obviously, there's always a possibility. But
I'm gonna hope homeboy Paul and Bashar.
I still do want to see the aliens here in 2027.
This is, I don't know. I can't remember any time before this, because obviously, like, I'm only 26, but I don't really consider myself 26 because I can't really remember anything from when like you're a kid, right? So maybe I'm like 16, like 10 years and up. In terms of like being able to process stuff and like remember shit. Do you think, like, how crazy is it like versus like when you grew up, right? In like the late 80s and 90s, you're going through your adolescence and like all this stuff. Could you have imagined that you would have been living in a world like today where shit's so advanced? Like, technology's progressed a lot since like when you were a kid, like a small boy, to now.
Do you know how I got my information?
What do you mean? How? Oh, back then? How?
Let's say in 1990.
1990. Oh,
1989, 1990.
Newspaper?
But like if you wanted history, we used to have to buy an encyclopedia, which, it was A, an entire book, B, and then in there you would have to research.
Manually read.
Like Bolivia again, and then it will tell you about Bolivia, and Beatles, it'll tell you about the Beatles, and that's it. That's how I got my information.
That's fucking crazy.
And I was like so nerdy that I asked my parents to like buy this encyclopedia so that I would like love to like read all
on
the
world
information.
history.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool though.
yeah. That's how you got your information.
And then now, fast forward, and it's like
I would
so
have
readily
never,
available.
ever imagined, from what I could remember, like that your phone would be everything, right? Like, think about like an iPhone, apps, the World Wide Web. That's what the www stands for. Do you know that, right?
Yeah.
So even like explaining that to people
back then,
like was like, what do you
Mindfuck?
mean, right?
It was like a mindfuck?
Exactly, right? And so,
So what for you, if you had to identify, what would you say is like the most palpable culture shift for you? Like, American culture shifted so much after this technology came out, or that whatever. Could you identify like what was a time like as you were growing up or whatever that you like, whoa, shit's gonna forever be different now? For me, it has to be AI, because like I was a kid, no AI, but the internet was around.
Yeah.
I remember growing up with like early YouTube and like, shit like that. But AI has like really changed shit for me. Like, it's kind of resulted in like a little bit of like a culture shift, and it's like,
Yeah.
It's crazy. So what was that like? Something like that for you?
Oh yeah, no, it was the internet started while I was a teenager, and it was AOL, and you had to grab a disc.
What's AOL stand for?
America Online, right? I think it's still around, but obviously it's not a big player in the technology world today.
Mm-hmm.
But you used to have a disc, and you had to put it into your
A floppy
hard drive,
disk?
like a CD type of disc.
Oh, okay.
And you would use it and to connect to the World Wide Web, www, and then it would make these noises. Have you ever heard that?
The dial.
You know, like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly like that. And then you would get, and then, like I was a teen, I remember like some of like the most intriguing things. You could like chat with people. You could get into chat rooms of all different,
So you
topics.
actually remember when the internet came out?
Oh yes, I was.
An early adopter. Like you got that shit first.
yeah.
You were like, whoa, this is like
I was 15.
So what? How did they sell it? Like, how did they tell people about it? You have to go and buy this disc, and what do you plug it into? Your computer?
Yeah. So first of all, computers, by the way, like where not every household had a computer. That like slowly, like in the early 90s, started to like progress. But I actually don't even remember when was my first computer. I think my first computer was
Macintosh?
I was already like an adult.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So you could use them at school. Schools had some, and
Like
all
libraries
that.
too, right?
Yeah, and libraries and stuff like that, right? And then like when the internet came out, I still remember it was like hard to understand, but then like the disc to connect and all that, and they would like pass them out free, and then if you signed up, I actually signed up for like the non-free.
The premium
version.
subscription?
Yeah, and they basically I was charged. AOL charged me up until like 2007. That was being
Jesus
charged
Christ.
$9.99 every month
For 9 years?
for
you said 15.
for like 12 years.
12 years. Okay.
For like 12 years, when as it progressed, internet became free for everyone.
Yeah.
And like I never even used AOL anymore.
And you
like,
were
they
still
just
paying
kept-
for it?
Yeah. They
That's
just
fucking
kept charging
crazy.
me because I didn't know that I was paying for that.
Wait,
Yeah.
okay, so I'm having a little bit of trouble understanding the concept of the floppy disk or the disc, not the
Yeah.
floppy disk. So they gave it out for free, but once you had it, was that like your key to get into the internet?
Yeah, you had to put it into the hard drive thing. It would go in, and then it would come out on the computer. You would press connect, and that's how you could connect. You couldn't just automatically go in and type something in the search tool.
Okay, so computers beforehand they were just in their localized networks, right?
Yes,
Like
yeah.
localized networks.
Yeah.
Okay, this is making sense based off of like whatever I know
Yeah.
about computers now. So it's a local network and then like an intranet, right?
Yeah, intranet.
Intranet.
Actually, yeah.
So like a local network. But then they give you the disk, which then allows the device to go from connecting to just the internet to the internet. So the disk was like your key, your portalway to the internet. But once you did that,
And then through like the AOL, which they were like the pioneers, they were the first. Then you could venture out to
other sites and stuff?
the sites, to the chat rooms, to the stuff. So yeah.
Okay. Were there any different types of discs, or it was all just like the disc that just all has the same code to get you into the internet?
It started with that. I don't remember if there were more.
The little specifics?
I'm sure it got more modern, and then you could just do it automatically because.
I know that wasn't like one of the first like revolutions in like I guess like personal computing, like your own actual at-home computer. Wasn't that like with Steve Jobs and the Macintosh? Like that fucking blue like box.
So that was in the 80s.
Oh, so that's before.
That was in the
internet
80s, but that was like that. Most people didn't have that, right? Like it was.
then. Okay, so my
businesses
timeline's
and
way
stuff
off
like
then.
that, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
that's just like computing at home to do whatever, like
Yeah.
coding, whatever the fuck
Yeah.
you want to do.
Yeah.
But it's not anything related to the internet. That's
No,
like
the
way later.
internet became a thing in the mid 90s.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
And then that was like for you. That's like the culture shift.
That's the culture shift because then I didn't need my encyclopedia.
So how crazy was email when it first came out?
Oh, crazy. Super crazy, yeah.
So chat rooms. What the fuck was 15-year-old Julian doing on chat rooms?
I don't
on
remember
AOL?
quite like doing it at 15, but like,
Around that time.
yeah, so.
What was teenage Julian doing in those chat rooms? Like, what was the chat rooms? What did they consist of?
Anything. You want to talk about aliens? Go to this chat room, and then people would just chat from people from everywhere, and
How many people were in the chat room?
could have been many. hundreds, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Like depending on the one you picked, and then that was the original like dating like way to hook up with someone.
Are you
right?
serious?
Yeah, like there were no.
You can't even send pictures. How the fuck you know what they look like?
You could send pictures.
You could send
eventually.
pictures?
Yeah. There was a way
How
to send pictures.
blurry,
Yeah.
8-bit ass pictures, fucking
not at the
shit
beginning,
quality.
but at some point you could send pictures. But that was like the way people would hook up. Like that's like today's. That was then's Tinder.
Then's Tinder,
right?
Like, and then eHarmony was then Christian Mingle and like all these.
You would
crazy,
enter
like,
these chat rooms like interested in whatever, and then because then you would be talking to someone would answer you, and you'd be like, you want to go on a private chat, and you would invite them on a private chat, and then.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
So you kind of have to have like virtual game to be on like in this chat room to impress these like hundreds of people, like one out of these hundreds of people.
But again, you could have been talking to someone in Seattle, and I'm in New York, so like whatever. But but you could also do like local like chat rooms, all that stuff. So
that's really cool.
Yeah,
that's really fucking cool. That's something that I really. That's one of the things. Like, I feel like the internet's always been around since I can remember. So like, I don't have anything in my life that I could pinpoint to besides like maybe AI that really just changed the course of like basically everything.
Yeah.
I mean, the internet's kind of everything now. Like
it's everything. Yeah. And I actually lived at a time without the internet and the internet.
And with the internet.
Yeah. But I would say then after that, the big the iPod. The fact that like you could listen to music on this little thing versus the old way, right? Like buying records, buying CDs, like that was like amazing. And of course the iPod became the iPhone, right? It was the same.
iTouch and then the iPhone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
did you have the first iPhone?
I had the first
iPod, then iTouch and iPhone.
Yeah.
So you've always been like a early adopter of technology.
So the minute that your iPhone became your computer, like that, I think that's like
the biggest revolution.
The fact that you no longer need a camera. You no longer need a Palm Pilot.
Yeah.
Palm Pilot used to be so big. You know what that is?
Yeah, it's like
people used to put in all their agenda items and now
like it didn't have like a pencil or something.
Yeah,
too?
yeah, and people
like
thought they were cool. Yeah, like because they were. This is
was that pre or post BlackBerry? I remember
that was probably a little bit before. Yeah.
Okay.
So the iPhone eliminated that.
Yeah.
Cameras.
Everything.
Basically. Palm Pilots, record players. Just everything in the hand, in the palm of your hand. So
you like I could see, like you as a person. I mean, I've always said that like you have like a very youthful heart in the way where you like to stay on like the edge of culture shifts. Meaning like you're not. I can't see you being like the old man not that you're old right now. I'm saying like in the future, I don't see you being like the old man that's like, what the fuck are these kids up to nowadays? Like, I don't see you doing that.
Yeah.
Because you do it now. Like, you're very... I don't want to call you hip because that has, like, a lame connotation to it. But, like, you're very, like, with the times in terms of, like... Like, you have the fucking... what are those things called?
The Meta glasses?
The Meta glasses. So, like, I didn't even know those were a thing until I saw them at your house. Because I don't really even keep up to, like, that type of technology, right?
Yeah.
And you have them. So are you going to be, because, I was watching a podcast with Mark Zuckerberg the other day, and like a lot of other companies are trying to basically go into the space where like they're blending the worlds of like no longer will you need your phone to be the portal to the internet and all this stuff. It's going to be like a wearable or something. Are you going to be like when that device comes out, are you going to adopt it, or are you going to be kind of like, ooh, let me wait until like a couple iterations?
I would love that. Like, so people ask me why instead of getting the Meta glasses, why they didn't get like the full Vision Quest Apple, but again, that's not practical. You can't walk down the street with the whole big thing.
People shit on those too because they're $3,500 for no fucking reason. Like, it's not even that good of a...
I'm sure there's a lot of great features, but you're not using it your day to day. You could actually use these glasses. So I think they're cool, and they give you one extra thing. I don't have to take my phone out of my pocket, right? Now I can take pictures without it, listen to music without it, record without it.
Would you ever... Because this is going to be a thing within our lifetimes. Would you ever be like an early adopter of like Neuralink?
What is that?
So it's like Before I tell you what company makes it or like who runs it, this is kind of a giveaway because I know like, but it's the premise of it. It's actually already been tested on like a couple people, but it's like a device that they have to drill a hole in your skull.
It's Elon Musk.
Yeah,
right?
it's Elon Musk.
Yeah.
So it's not Tesla.
Not Tesla, sorry,
But
Elon
yeah,
Musk,
Elon
yeah.
Musk. It's
Yeah,
run by
sorry.
Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Or he owns it or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And they're like basically doing testing on. There was like a disabled guy who had like a terrible swimming accident or whatever, and he was quadriplegic. That's like where you can't use all your limbs, right? Like you're paralyzed. So he had very limited mobility in like one of his hands or something like that. And they did a test on him, and basically his eyes and his mind became the like mechanism which he communicates with the computer, and like he could literally move the cursor around the screen, think like to click it, and it would work. Very primitive stuff because it's all based on like binary code, which is like, you know, like the basis of like computer coding is like it's just ones or zeros, and then it's a lot of layers of that, which basically it creates like that all of the things you could do with technology nowadays. It's like through that binary code. So it's very primitive in its iteration now, but later, like future uses, like in the advancements in that technology, a lot of people think like, oh shit, like you're gonna be able to put this in your head, and then like I could talk telepath. If you have and I have it, we could just be like sending each other messages.
Or reading our minds. You could with your mind.
Yeah.
Control stuff.
Yeah.
Control computers. Control appliances. Control stuff. Yeah.
And then it'll also be like there's like the thought of like even as simple as like, oh, I want to play like a song on Spotify. You don't have to like take out your phone. You could just think, play this song, and then it'll tell your ears that you're hearing something, but it's not actually physically like a sound. It's just the computer system's telling your nervous system basically that something's happening that's not. Would you like get that? Obviously, if it was safe, would you adopt
if it isn't harmful to your health, why not? I mean, why not try all that stuff?
I agree with you, but there's people like Luddites that just want to go back to like fucking, like they don't like the advancements in technology. I don't know. I can't understand that. I think it's exciting, but that's super cool that you would say you'd get that.
Yeah. What we should always try to be moving forward, right?
Yeah, I think so. And like, oh my God. It's like just crazy that we're talking about that, and we're also talking about at the same time that like aliens could like very well might be like an actual thing, and like it's just crazy. There's a lot of like stuff that like this is why I guess young people nowadays, because we're soft, like a lot of us are anxious and shit like that, because like all this stimulus is like a lot to process sometimes. I don't know.
You know, a lot of like those unidentified flying objects that we've seen over the last couple of years, like they're here. And they're like in our oceans. You know, we
that's what I heard.
We know so little about our oceans. We know more about Mars than we know about our oceans. Like
I heard that too. Yeah.
And so they're there, and we're unable to like, track them or trace them, right? So
that's fucking.
But they're
terrifying.
here. They're here already. They just haven't revealed themselves.
Have you seen the video? There was like a video that was released like within the past month or something of this fucking thing. It's like a very good quality video, and it's like a glowing light in the sky, and it just takes off into the sky like at rates which no technology that we currently have available could do anything like that. There's no sound, there's no it just goes, and the person records like what the fuck, and it just goes. Have you seen that? I gotta show you this
I've
afterwards.
seen several, so I think I've seen that.
Oh my God. A part of me hopes it's kind of a hoax, but at the same time, like, I wouldn't be surprised if all this shit's like actually real. It's fucking scary.
But now every single person has a phone in their hand, right? So every person has a camera in their hand. So
they're gonna see it.
So we're capturing more.
Yeah.
But it's probably they've been doing this for a while. But now, I mean, even the poorest kid in India has an iPhone.
Yeah.
Or
a phone,
right?
A phone, yeah, probably an Android.
Which means they'll have a camera on them.
Yeah.
So,
Jesus Christ.
But you should get excited about it if it does happen.
Yeah, but you know what's weird? Okay, India has billions of people, so does China. How come there's no fucking UFO footage of like all those people in that country? Why is it always like the US or like South America or like a European country? Isn't that weird?
China probably
does have it, but they just don't let it out.
Yeah, they're suppressing it. They're keeping it further out. Why don't you ask China?
China.
So that, for sure they have it.
They probably
Yeah,
do. Yeah, that's
yeah.
true. That government for sure has probably like suppressed some stuff. So, but like India, bro, like there's billions of people and like no UFOs have visited like that country. Why? It just like why is it so localized to the U.S.? I mean, there's actually theories on that because like the nuclear stuff. Have you heard about that? How like
India's a nuclear country.
yeah, but what I'm saying is like there were basically almost no. This is like the last thing I'll say, and then you can say whatever, and then we could end the episode. But like there was almost no UFO sightings prior to 1945, and then once the atomic bomb was dropped, then all of a sudden you just see like a huge uptick in like UFO sightings. So maybe it's tied into the fact. I think there's people. I mean, I haven't
That
done,
we could destroy ourselves. So then we.
So
need
then
help.
they come and then they fucking. That's
No.
terrifying.
We need help because we imagine the creation of that bomb and we actually threw it on the population, right? The U.S. dropped 2 of these
Yeah,
in Japan.
and that's the only two
And
that's ever
flattened, right? Flattened
2
full
cities.
right? So I'm not surprised that the aliens started to like maybe come more frequently because they're like, these people are just gonna nuke themselves,
been used. Like
at
cook
some point,
themselves to
right?
fucking death.
right?
Yeah.
And so, and think about it, like even today, there's like, if Ukraine does this, Russia said they're gonna use their nukes, right? And so, like, there's still a threat, even though we destroyed so many nuclear weapons.
Yeah, it is
in
a
the 90s.
really, really,
Yeah.
really unsettling thought that most like genius minds, like whatever, political commentators, whatever, like really smart people in our society all come to the general consensus that like the biggest threat to the human species is humans themselves
Yeah,
or ourselves. That's fucking weird.
people for power,
For dumb shit.
for dumb shit, and that's why I say we can't be the smartest people.
We're definitely
in the
not.
entire galaxy.
Yeah,
right?
we're definitely not.
Yeah.
If there is alien life out there, we're definitely not. We're definitely not. No. It's fucking scary, man.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Oh,
That was
this
a good
was
episode.
fun.
I hope you had fun. I feel like I was talking your ear off for most of this one.
Oh, I
But
loved it.
We'll get into next time I go to Philly, I'll bring like the mobile stuff, and then maybe we could like do another one of these.
And I'm gonna send you some Bashar stuff.
Yeah, I'll listen to it for sure.
You know, he's a lot on like shorts on TikTok, but there's like full episodes of stuff on the internet, right?
Oh my god. Has he been like? Have you seen if he's like been on any podcasts? I'd like to see like a long format conversation
Yeah.
because then that's really where you could start to see like the legitimacy of like certain claims.
Yep.
Because then you know if he gets questioned by whatever fucking influencer that's trying to gain some views on whatever,
Yeah.
it's kind of like testing him. And then if Bashar's legit or Paul is, well, I guess Bashar because he's talking through him.
Yeah.
If that's like a legitimate thing, then that he's gonna hold up, which
Yeah.
is fucking terrifying to me at least. But whatever.
2027.
Here we come.
Let's get ready. It's 2
2
years.
years. Fuck, let's go to. We gotta hit up Japan,
Yeah,
Greece,
that's
and
right.
Korea
Greece,
before
Japan,
that
Korea,
shit
yes,
happens.
yeah.
Because Lord knows
Yeah.
once that happens, I don't know what they're gonna do to those countries
Yeah.
or like what they're gonna do to us, and how shit's gonna change.
Just think of how our worlds change because you're like
Aliens are real.
Yeah, like do we still go to work the next day?
I
Once we
wouldn't.
see them. I don't know.
Are you kidding? I
Yeah.
would not. If
Yeah.
a fucking alien were to plant itself
Yeah.
like right there, a gray, I'm not
Yeah.
like, oh, you got to do these reports, brother. I'm sorry, but the aliens have
Yeah.
come to visit us. I'm not gonna clock in for my 9 to 5. That's terrifying.
Exactly.
Like, this is a legitimate reason. I'm not even just trying to look for excuses to not work, but like, that's terrifying. So, whatever.
Yeah.
Jesus. All right,
right.
Theo. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
We'll do the outro. Stop and point up like when I do the thing. But for those of you guys who have made it to the end of this beautiful hour and a half episode, thank you so much for sticking around. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, all that social media bullshit. Until the next one, I'll see y'all later. Cue the outro music. There we go. Till the next one, deuces.